You're listening to Amazing Radio. This is Amazing Afternoons. I'm delighted to say that we have Friko on the line with me, Nico and Bailey. How you doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, doing well.
Very well, thank you. We join you stateside, don't we? That's where you are?
Yes, we are in Chicago.
Yeah. Chicago, so many of my favorite bands are from Chicago. Has Chicago shaped you guys as musicians? And is that a heavy influence, the kind of the bloodline of such great bands?
Yeah, definitely. And I think not only like the history here, but as well as the community now is so active. There is so much great music happening in Chicago right now, and there is no shortage of things to be inspired by. So I think yeah, just with all the amazing things happening, I'm like constantly striving to grow as a musician. And yeah, there's just so much good music to see constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And growing up with bands like in high school, like I was listening to Whitney, Phenom, and Dead. Um, and now yeah, vaguely even being related to them in the scene is great. But like Billy said, the current scene is just really, really happening.
Yeah, that's a really exciting, thing to have that in your community. But how does it translate in terms of scene? Do you have a collective space? And do you have rehearsal rooms where you bump into other bands? As a community, are you quite supportive? I was reading about the record, and you said that it was only possible because of friends helping out on it.
I mean, that's very true. I mean, with recording the record, that was with the help of our friend Jack Henry. Um, and Jax was the engineer for the record and helped produce. And he did this for we recorded this record for the most part before we had a label or like anybody on our team for the most part. And he, I was paying him what I could out of my pocket, but we were doing hundreds of hours. So he was putting in all that time just out of the passion for the project and goodness of his heart. And Scott Talarita, who's an older friend who owned the space where we were recording, let us record there for free, hundreds of hours. And it's just like people who believed in it and just like really just helped us out along the way.
Yeah, and on the visual side of it as well. Our friend Eli Schmidt has done a lot of posters and worked on the album artwork alongside our friend Carolina, who plays in a band called Hemlock. Um, yeah, and then Alice Avery has done a lot of visual stuff for us too. She did the For Ella music video, and yeah, it's just a lot of collaboration across mediums, which has been really cool, and very grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, especially getting to work somewhere where you can record as well. I mean, what's the process like? What was the process like when you were writing? You said you spent a lot of time in these places. Would you go in with ideas, or would the ideas be formed within those spaces?
I mean, this record was definitely written um over the course of the years before recording this stuff. Because we've been a band since like 2019 and we released an EP, but like right as we were finishing the EP, we were starting to have the songs for this record, and these songs definitely felt different and more like us and more impactful. Um, and so yeah, I mean, we wrote these in the many rehearsals, you know, in like 2021, 2022. Um, yeah, the studio was mainly just for recording for us.
Yeah. When I've been listening to the tracks, I can't help but be staggered by how powerful the expressionism is within the tracks. Is it quite a cathartic experience for you guys when you produce this music?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
definitely.
yeah, definitely. We're recording like where we've been was incredibly cathartic. We were all like sobbing at the end of that take because we had changed the structure for it, and that was the first time doing it like that. Um, and yeah, just combined with like we're all just kind of on the same wavelength recording this record. I feel like after rehearsing it for so long and like knowing the emotion we want to get through.
Yeah, and I think at the time of recording too, like a lot of those songs we had played live a fair amount already, and the basis of every single song on the record is a live trio take. Um, and yeah, so I think it was really cathartic to just like be able to bring that live energy to a recorded space.
Yeah, it certainly feels like you're leaving everything on that on the record. And I wrote down the word epic because it does feel quite epic. By the end of the tracks, you know, you feel like, wow, I've really been taken on a journey by that track. And of course, art is expression, isn't it? And I think you really delivered on the tracks I've heard so far.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot.
Um, but how does it convert live then? You know, if you have only, you know, yourselves and someone else as well, going forward, how do you deliver that sound as a two or three piece?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're like always been a three piece. I mean, we're still, I mean, we have like a bassist who we've been writing new stuff with and practicing. And I mean, I feel like 'cause the songs start out three piece for the most part, we know the base of it. I always have kind of thought about it in the way where like the Clash always recorded super flushed out recordings later in their career, but they're still like a punk band live. We kind of lean into that.
Also, like I guess on more of like a technical side of it, like Nico has a really epic pedal board. All of it is very intentional, and it's been really cool. Like the past few years, just watching you slowly grow the things you need and try stuff out and switch stuff out, and um, just yeah, tonally, like you put so much thought and intention into it, and Nico also like at rehearsal and at some shows too, if it makes sense, will go stereo with his amps. So it just makes it feel huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing. And I'm such a huge fan of your
Oh,
tone.
thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got the ambient bass thing too that we do live,
Oh
or
yeah.
in between tracks. Like our bassist has a delay slash like reverby slash like multi effects pedal, and just kind of making soundscapes with bass stuff too. You
Oh, that's
know,
Yeah.
that's amazing because one of my favorite Chicago bands, I think, is Joan of Arc, and one of their records has amazing ambience between the tracks on the record, and that was the first time I ever heard that on an album, and that was from a Chicago-based band as well.
oh cool, gotta listen.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've
really
heard
cool.
of it, but I don't think I've ever checked them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like them? They're very good. They're very good indeed. You're playing South by, is that right?
Yes.
Are you looking forward? Have you done that before?
That was our first time last year.
Oh well, are you saying this
Oh.
year?
Yeah, are you playing this year?
Oh,
Yeah, we're going
yes.
back this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your experience like last year then?
It was fun, but it was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah, but it was definitely fun. It was cool. Like when we drove into Austin, it was so much crazier than I thought it was gonna be because it was just like, yeah, a standstill traffic in like the heart of the city. And so there's a lot of time to, just kind of like look around. And one thing that I did really appreciate about it is just like everywhere you look, you see a band or you see just a musician. And it was really cool just being in a space with so many musicians just consolidated like that. That was really exciting. And there was just like so much good music to see. But it was really chaotic because it's like running from one place to the next in the standstill traffic with all of your gear and just like trying to and load in. Usually it's like you load up and you play and you'll
Yeah.
do like a quick line check, but there's
Oh my
no
God.
like yeah. Like I was kind of calling it like South by training when we were there because it's like to be able to just get up on this stage and just go for it, even if your stuff is like not at the right height. I don't know. I get picky about that with drums, but it's like
Yeah.
if my cymbal stands are in a weird place and like I can't necessarily hear everything super well, but I'm still ready to go and like have a really good time. Like it felt like South by was like good training for that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
I mean, my favorite show there was the Fire Talk Showcase, and we literally just like walked in and set up and played, and it's a fun way to do it.
That's the punk way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. You don't think about it.
Yeah, just play. So after a couple of weeks until the record comes out, what are you gonna do to celebrate your debut record coming out? What you got planned?
We're gonna sell our house and move to the countryside. I don't know. We're gonna. Sorry, that was really randomly. I'm sorry. It's really early in my. We are gonna we have a acoustic release show on the day of, and we're gonna do a signing at a local record store with the acoustic show, and then we're probably gonna go hang with friends at our rehearsal space. And
But you're gonna have the record and hold it, aren't you? And just have a treasured moment.
it's out there. No, it is. I mean, it is crazy that it's 2 weeks now until it comes out.
Yeah, that's
weird.
wild.
We've been waiting on this one for a long time.
Yeah, your whole life. You get your whole life to make your first record, then you get 18 to 12 months to make your second one, right?
Yeah, no, that's the scary part.
What about plans to come to Europe or the UK? Have you got any plans later in the year, maybe?
Obviously, like financially, it's tough to go over there, but we want to do it with all of our hearts. So definitely in November at the latest.
Yeah, it just sounds like such a blast to tour overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
especially Europe as well, because if you were like touring, you could wake up in a different city with a whole different culture, different language every single day. It's so crazy. But
that's
yeah.
it is like different states, but on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You could like drive the same. You could like drive the length of Ohio and then be in like a third, like 3 countries away. It's just crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. All different currencies, all different styles of coffee, all different record shops, but all good. All life experience, right?
So cool.
I hope so. That's why I hope if we go though, it wouldn't work like when we tour here, where it's like in and out. Because that would just be it's already like sad enough, but if they had to do it in like that setting, that'd be a bummer.
So many places you've never seen before, like so much you want to see.
I'm sure it does work that way though. But
no, you'll get to see some sights. I'm sure you will. You've got an excellent record on the way, and I think you're going to be doing it for a long time coming. I love what I've heard of the record so far. I've taken enough of your time this afternoon. We wish you well for the release, and thanks for joining us here on Amazing Radio.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.